Long time ago in Bangalore, there lived two brothers. The elder one was 7 years old and the younger one was 4 years old. Every day, James used to pick both the boys from home and drop them at school. And after school time, he used to pick them at school and bring them home. That was the usual regular routine that went on. But one day, when James was stuck in the traffic jam and he could not reach school on time to pick both the brothers, the elder one, having waited for 15 minutes and I'm seeing no sign of James at school, he went from his class, picked his younger brother, and both of them began to walk home. After 15 minutes, James went to school, and having been there and not finding both the boys, he was panicked, raised an alarm, informed the parents and the school, saying that both the boys went missing. The teachers began to search for the boys at the school premises. James went on one way to look for the boys. The mother of these two children was weeping and asking everyone on the road whether they have seen two boys on their school uniform. The dad on his scooter was driving through the roads and streets looking for these two boys. And after about for an hour of search, dad on his scooter, as he was driving, found both the boys nearer to his home. Immediately, he informed his wife and James and the school that he has found both the boys. When the dad went to both his children and asked, "Are they both okay? Where have they been? For everyone is searching for them." Then the elder brother informed the dad that, "Dad, I am bringing the younger brother safely home." On hearing that, there were tears rolled out of dad's face. He hugged both of them, took them into his arms, for he could see that amount of courage and love in the elder brother in bringing his younger brother safely home. Whenever I remember this incident and think of this incident that happened at our family, on one hand, it brings me back those moments of panic that we were searching on the roads. On the other hand, we also could remember that taste of happiness, that delight on finding both our sons who went missing for about an hour. The gospel reading for this week is from Mark's Gospel, chapter 1, verses 29 to 39, where we see that Jesus from synagogue goes into Peter's home, heals the mother-in-law of Peter who was down with fever, and then there were several people who came to him and he offered healing to them, after which early in the morning he went alone to a deserted place and spent time in praying. When Jesus was not seen, Simon and his companions hunted for Jesus, and when they have found him, Simon and his companions asked Jesus, "Everyone is searching for you. Where have you been?" Then Jesus replied, "Let us move on to the neighboring towns and villages, for I need to share the good news, for that is the reason I have come into this world." In that situations of panic, when the disciples found Jesus, they found the motivation for mission. They also found the methods of mission, and they also found the movement in the mission of God for which Jesus has come into this world. When the disciples found Jesus at that time, they found him praying. And the gospel writer did not mention what was the prayer that Jesus was saying, but they found him when he went up to pray on his own. So, in finding Jesus at that point, they found the motivation for mission, which is none other but prayer, where Jesus was waiting on God, listening to the voice of God for discernment and to be led in his mission of God for which he has come into this world. So the disciples found a praying Jesus, and in that prayer found a motivation for mission. Then Jesus explained to them that we need to move on to the neighboring towns. So they can, on finding Jesus, the disciples found that the movement for mission is about people, and it is about moving outwards, moving to the neighboring towns and villages. So they recognize that mission is about other centeredness, about moving out into the other neighbors to share the good news. So, on finding Jesus, they found the movement for mission, which is people and about moving outwards. Thirdly, on finding Jesus, they also found the methods of his doing mission. Jesus said that he had come to proclaim the good news, and in the later verse, in verse 39, he went on preaching and casting off demons. So the methods that Jesus used in his mission were like proclamation on one hand, and on the other hand, it was about practice. Practicing the love of God, in that case, by casting off the demons. So on finding the Jesus Christ that early morning, the disciples found the methods of his mission, which were proclamation and practice, which is showing the love in action through healing. So as we read this passage this morning, the calling for us is that it is prayer, proclamation, and practice which are the principles in mission which Jesus is informing us as we read this text. So today, how do we understand prayer? Prayer for me is about listening to God rather than giving a shopping list of things that God has to attend. On another count, prayer is God finding us, finding you and me to be an answer to several people's prayers. For example, it is easy to say a prayer before we eat our meal, saying we think of those who are hungry, O God, and please feed them. But maybe we should change such prayer and ask God, in situations of hunger, help me to share my resources and help me to put a prayer in action so that I can be an answer to several people who are in hunger. So prayer for me is about action, and I think that is what we'll need to learn this Sunday as we read this text. Secondly, mission is about people and about moving into the neighboring towns, meeting people in their own situations, and creating that sense of belonging is all about mission. So mission is celebrating God's presence with people of faith and none, and trying to share the good news that God in Jesus has come to give life in all its fullness to everyone, and everyone it means everyone. So mission is about people and celebrating God's presence. Thirdly, mission is about proclamation. And proclamation, most times we understand, is like standing up and shouting that Jesus is Lord. Proclamation has something much more deeper than that. It is not just standing up on my pulpit or in this corner of the street and shouting Jesus is the Lord. Rather, it is about sharing God's love in action. It is sharing God's love through my lifestyle, in our conversations, through mutual respect, through healthy dialogues, through care, and through sharing one another's burdens. We can show this proclamation of good news today. Proclamation is about addressing the needs of our society that keeps disturbing the fabric of our society. And proclamation today requires preparation, an experience of God's love in our lives, and it also requires a humility in accepting the other as equal partners in the economy of God's love. So proclamation today is not shouting that God is love, rather demonstrating how God is love for us in our context and in our times today. So mission is about such a kind of proclamation that Jesus and the Spirit is inspiring us. Finally, mission is about practice. practically exhibiting the love of Christ in practical terms in our own situations today. Mission is more about bringing in a change, a transformation where we can celebrate God's love in all people, and that needs to come through practice. Perhaps to summarize all of this, prayer, proclamation, people, and practice are the principles in the mission of God for which God is calling you and me. And as we hear this message today, let us ask God to empower us with God's Spirit so that we can be truthful to the mission for what God has been inviting us. In conclusion, when my two sons were lost and found, I found the love of the elder brother for his younger one. I found care and courage of the elder one in bringing home safely his younger brother. Perhaps from this text, the disciples, on finding Jesus, found the core principles in his mission, which are prayer, people, proclamation, and practice, and they have a huge significance for us today. So let us continue to join with Jesus in transforming our world into a better place to live and let others live. Amen.